Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
Don Le Batard. Stugotz. This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Mike, no joke. Right before the microphones came on here, Stugotz was staring at the television and he was arguing with a Joe Thomas tweet that was on the television. Joe Thomas wrote that Goodell is making twice as much as Tom Brady. Does that mean that Goodell is worth twice as much and is twice as hard to replace as Tom Brady? And Stugotz just yells at the television, "Oh, shut up and sit out.
Yep.
Sit out if it means so much to you. Bleeping Joe Thomas telling me your opinion. Sit out if it means so much to you over the collective bargaining agreement." Just shouting at the television.
I happen to agree with Joe Thomas, but do me a favor, okay? Next time the CBA rolls around, be ready to sit out and sit out for as long as it takes. Otherwise, your words ring hollow.
All right.
Because you talk a tough game right up until it's time to sit out, and then you don't sit out. Sit out and get what you want. You're more valuable than you think. Sit out. How about that?
So Les Miles with us now on yes, I'm sorry.
That is a major fine, man.
That's a $10.
Les Miles.
$10 fine.
That is the maximum fine I get for getting a name wrong is $5.
No, but you didn't get the first name right or the last name.
I know it's not Les Miles. I'm sorry.
You put a C note down, and that is fair.
Ed Orgeron joins us now on ESPN Radio. I'm sorry I did that, Lance. Lane, so I want to talk to you. Congratulations on.
I'm leaving now. I'm hanging up now.
I'm sorry. This has been.
I can't believe you called me Les Miles. Jeez Louise.
Is there a worse coach he could have called you?
You guys came to our game. We scored more points in the first quarter than Les Miles usually scores in a whole game.
Yeah.
So, come on.
Wait, what's the other coach he could have called you that would have insulted you more than Les Miles? Is there anyone?
Jerry Sandusky.
Oh, God. Wow, you went for the kill. Man, nice work by you, Lane. You threw a dead fish at us there. Lane Kiffin with us on ESPN.
Your guys' goal is to always, do the interview and, get the person rattled that you're interviewing and stump them. So I screwed it up. I went the other way.
You really did.
You did.
You forgot. You don't even know what questions you're going to ask now. You're so.
I am rattled, but I've been rattled since the beginning when I somehow. Why the hell did I call you Les Miles for some reason?
Gosh.
Yes. Anyway, who are you playing? What is Akron? What is their nickname?
I learned yesterday they're the Zips. We had a press conference with their head coach is Coach Bowden, by the way. And I learned at the press conference that some Zips has to do with it's a kangaroo, 5 animals or something. I couldn't understand the whole thing.
Okay, it doesn't sound like you learned anything, Lane. It doesn't sound like you learned anything.
I was confused because I'm there's kangaroos in Akron. I think Akron's in Ohio. How are you nicknamed after a team that you don't have anything that lives in the state? And he said, "Are there elephants in Alabama?" I said, "Good point. Very good point."
Wow.
That is a fair point.
Sounds like a hell of a press conference. Sounds like you guys, you and the Akron coach were really throwing haymakers.
Yes. No, it was in good fun, but it was a really good point. There aren't really red elephants in Alabama. Or there probably aren't even red elephants that exist, period. But maybe there are.
What would happen right now if you were to call Nick Saban or Nick Saban were to call you? Does that ever happen? Is there any reason for that?
Coach Saban's not a big, call people, he's just not going to call and check in or, that's just not how he is. So, those calls really wouldn't happen. It would have to be something about business.
And does he reach out to you ever at all about business?
No. I guess if he needs something, right? Or if he hears something When you're teasing him, and you told us this last week, he doesn't even know that it's happening. None of this is getting back to him when you're teasing him on Twitter. Nothing. Like, he thinks, like, you and him are good, even though, a week before the national championship game, he sent you away.
Well, he's getting me back because they showed me the coaches poll yesterday, the top 25 poll, where we got, like, I don't know, half the people voted for us or something like that in the USA Today, and they showed all the coaches, and Nick Saban did not put Florida Atlantic in the top 25, so maybe he's paying us back.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so wait a minute. So Florida Atlantic got half of the coaches said that you should be in the top 25?
I don't know if it was half. I didn't look through the whole thing. My dad was actually looking at it, put it on my desk, and he was circling all the guys that voted for us. He's like, good guy, good guy, good guy, like, circling all these guys.
Wait a minute.
Dan Mullen. He's like, Dan Mullen voted for us. So there's a bunch of guys voted for us. He's like, good guy, good guy, good guy. And then he circled Nick Saban, and he goes, thanks a lot, Nick. That was his comment on that. I almost put it on Twitter.
Why didn't you? Let's do that.
Come on.
Do it right now. Do it with us right now. We'll do it with you. Let's go and figure out how to do that with Lane during the break so that we can increase his social media following, because people need more Lane Kiffin in their life.
Lane, did Alabama deserve to get into the college football playoff?
That's a good question. It depends on what, and that's what I've never understood. Like, I wish they would explain, and I think they purposely don't explain it so that everyone spends all week talking about it. The first week that it's released, fans, everybody, it means nothing when it first comes out, but all they do is all week talk about it. And I think it's so great. It doesn't matter if you win a conference. Doesn't matter if you started good or finished good, like margin victory. Like, I feel like there's no explanation. And if it does mean, okay, yeah, it does matter that you don't win your division, then no, Alabama shouldn't be in because or their conference. Alabama not only didn't win their conference, they didn't win their division. So if that is a big criteria to win your conference, how do you put someone in that didn't win their division even, and the team they lost to turns around and doesn't win the conference? So that part's confusing to me. Now, if it is plain and simple, which we probably should be, the 4 best football teams, who are the 4 best teams that, if you had playoff, who do you think would last the longest and get to the Final Four? Yes, Alabama is one of the best 4 football teams by far. So then, yes, they should be in.
But they did explain it. The committee explains. You can't have a 31-point loss to Iowa, unranked Iowa, on your.
Yeah, but that changes, Dan. Like last year, winning the conference, winning your conference was important.
That was the. It's not that there was an absence of an explanation. It's that Lane rejects the explanation, which is fine. He can reject the explanation.
No, but it changes. And again, here we go. I'll get criticized for this because I'm criticizing the committee. Whatever. I'm not. I'm just saying you can say there's explanation, but like he just said, listen to the explanation and listen to it over the years. You'll be more confused than if you don't listen at all. You'll end up more confused listening to it because it changes. Because there's nothing wrong with it. What do? They pick them, and then what's their explanation going to do? It's going to justify who they picked and why they picked. So, to me, it's just confusing.
Lane Kiffin with us on ESPN Radio. When you watch Alabama play, to me, the marvel of this run that Alabama has had is that they've been able to win this way without a top-notch quarterback, that the quarterback hasn't mattered. And so I'm just curious, when you guys were playing against other teams, did you know, man, we're so much better than these people, like even in the SEC?
The first part you said Alabama is one without a top-notch quarterback? Is that what you're saying? Or they haven't played one?
Yeah, well, no. They had A.J. McCarron, but over the course of that entire time, they didn't have like a pro prospect at quarterback. Right. You've got a lot of serviceable quarterbacks that coaches do good things with, but they're just collegiate quarterbacks, that the quarterback doesn't matter on the route to the championship that much. Yeah,
I would say you got to look at something, though. Yes, had they had, I think AJ was picked, but, not a first rounder. And, we had Blake Sims, Jake Coker, and they were not picked at all. But you got to remember, where your quarterback's drafted in the National Football League does not necessarily mean that he's the best college quarterbacks. It's a whole different criteria. I mean, because of the rules and the run-pass options and linemen downfield, and you run the quarterback so much more in college, you can have a guy like Sims, for us, we was, whatever that was, the SEC championship MVP, I think, or something like that, and led the conference, has total records for the history of the school, all that. Well, Blake Sims didn't get drafted because he's like 5'11" and a half. Well, that doesn't matter as much in college football, and he's got great feet. He'd been a receiver,
all right, Lane, I'm going to stop you right there, even though your information is good and your knowledge is good. But that's not why we have Lane Kiffin on to defend his quarterbacks at Alabama. I'm
not. I'm saying the point is, don't just because the guy's a prospect doesn't mean he's a great.
I got it. But answer my question: when you went into those meetings and you're watching the film, are you saying to yourself, "Man, our players are a lot better than theirs"?
Yeah. Oh no, warm-ups. Go off for warm-ups. Watch Alabama in warm-ups, especially defensively. And, I used to just kind of look over and I'm like, are you kidding me? Look at the defensive line and the outside linebackers. Outside linebackers were doing drills. And I was like, there's two guys over there that don't even play. They're on our service team. And they look better than every player on the other side of the other team. So, it's ridiculous. And that's not, when I say that, people are going to say, okay, he's discrediting Nick Saban's coaching. No, I'm not. I'm saying every game he lines up, he has the better players every single time, including national championship. Look at the draft. Look at how many players were drafted out Alabama versus Clemson. He had way better players than Clemson. So, but that's not a shot at coaching. That's because he's the best recruiter in the world. So those players didn't just show up there. He got them there. So he's the best recruiter in the world. He finds a way he gets guys to come there when they know they're not going to play for a few years. Or he just got a guy this last year, a top 100 player, to gray shirt, to not sign on signing day. That's unheard of. So that's because he's the best recruiter in the country. So he has the best players by far every time that ball is kicked.
We're going to talk to you again next week, okay? I love having you in our lives. I'm sorry I called you less at the beginning of this.
That's okay. Right. You did call me Ed Orgeron, and that's okay. I love Orgeron.
Right. So we got a little feisty with you during one of your answers.
Ed Orgeron, circle him. Good guy. Good guy. Who else are the good guys? In fact, let's just do this. Can I do this real quick with you? Let me just give you some coaches and you just tell me if you circle it as a good guy or you just keep it moving, okay?
Okay.
So you already said Ed Orgeron. We'll start with an easy one. Ed Orgeron. Guy. Okay, great guy. James Franklin. Or do you want me to stay in the conference?
Don't know him that well. Wasn't a big fan of when he brought brownies and cookies to the ESPN College game day crew at the end of the show, but that's a different story.
Jimbo Fisher.
I have, not that I'm anybody. He's a lot better coach than me. I was just on another radio show earlier, and I just don't know how you can leave a team at the end of the year. I don't understand when there's a game to play. Coaches got to make decisions, and they leave. I left a place before I get that, but you still got a game to play. That part blows my mind away. I've never even told a story. I had an offer, so I'm not going to say where. I was at the Raiders, and I had an offer during the year with some games left to go to a very prominent place. And I said, no, I'm not leaving these players, who aren't any good, but I'm not leaving these players to go take a job. And so I just don't understand that, Bobby Petrino got murdered for doing what he did. So that just threw me off. Sorry.
No, that's okay. It was quite the rant. I also love that you are our college football correspondent, and you're saying I hate when coaches leave a team before it's over, and that you're the only one I can say, yeah, you get kicked out before the national championship game. You don't leave. They got to kick you out the door a few days beforehand.
Yeah. Don't get me started on that.
All right. No, I will next week.
I want to play this game some more.
I will next week. I want to play that game some more. All right. You play the game some more, too. Okay.
All right. Just quickly, Urban Meyer.
This will shock you. Great guy.
Oh, all right. Jim Harbaugh.
Very bizarre, but I like Jim. I told him this when he was here. I like Jim because, like me, he really doesn't care one single bit what you guys think. So, I like that he does the best things that he thinks for his program, even though if I was looking that bad with no tan, I wouldn't take my shirt off. But other than that, I think what he does, a lot of stuff's really good.
All right, we're going to talk to you again next week. Right. Thanks for making time for us, Lane.
All right, guys, have a good week. Thanks.
Thanks, Lane.
Time to justify our unreasonable salaries.
It shouldn't be as rare as he is. It shouldn't be as rare as he is.
Dan Le Batard.
They've been around since 1896.
Oh, get out your wallet.
That's why I was getting the money ready.
Stugotz.
I don't think Stugotz should be fined for that.
Great, money back in the pocket.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
You saw one of the suspensions in the game was rescinded. Did you guys see that one of the suspensions was rescinded? The hit on Antonio Brown.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that. It was rescinded, yes.
And so you realize that there shouldn't be another penalty on that the other penalty, and I don't want to get I call him Simon and Schuster. That's not his name, and I don't want to get a fine. I call him Simon and Schuster, even though that's the publishing company.
You can just call him Juju.
Okay, yeah, Juju's an easy way to do it. Mm-hmm. But then you'll know that I'm trying to avoid the last name. But okay, I'm doing that anyway.
Smith Schuster.
Yep,
that's right.
It's an easy one.
I know, but okay. Anyways, Juju shouldn't be a suspension either, is what I'm saying. Even though it's illegal, it is illegal, and he shouldn't have done it. You're just making these things too difficult for people who are trying to do them in real time. And
it was that combined with standing over Burfict, which Dan, I agree with you. I love that about football. I love that about sports. A guy's been bad to you. You go and get him, and you get him good, and you stand over him for a second, and you let him know that you got him. I'm fine with that.
Here's the problem with the sport outside of, the sport. He went out to destroy Burfict, but he did so in a fashion that's technically, and not even technically, he did it legally. What the league is trying to scrub out is a kill shot on a guy, even if it's legal.
The thing that's interesting to me about this is that the league is trying to legislate optics. It's not actually legislating health, because how do you make that game healthy? There's no way. There's no way to make that game healthier. I mean, I suppose tackling differently would help make it healthier, but the way it's being played now isn't any healthier than it's been.
No, you can put in things to try to make the game safer, and they have, and they'll continue to do so, and they should. But there's no way. When you have men of that size moving that fast, occasionally stuff like that is going to happen, and that's just the sport. Like Shazier, you can try to clean it up all you want, but he's going to come in at a bad angle and forget to pick his head up and not use his shoulder and lead with his helmet, and that's what's going to happen occasionally, and that's the bad, unfortunate part of that sport.
The whole thing is optics. We're ignoring the science. It's not. I understand the optics of those big booming hits. That's not what causes all this brain damage. It certainly contributes, but it's the repeated hits, the ones that are just the ball is snapped.
Football. It's football. Football causes concussions. I just love in that Mike Mitchell sound that he tore Andy Dalton apart. I love that he did it by name.
Yeah.
Like I love honesty like that. Lane Kiffin, one of the reasons that interview is so delightful, because many of you are writing in, see, Le Batard coaches can be good. No, that guy's good because he's not like the other coaches that are interviewed around radio.
That's why we have him on.
The reason he's man, why am I interviewing the FAU coach every week through college football season? Because he says stuff. Right. All these other two guys. Can you picture? I mean, how great a story is that? Monty Kiffin coming into his office and circling Dan Mullen, good guy, and then circling Nick Saban and pointing at it and like, thanks a lot, Nick.
He has the same relationship with his dad that you do, it would appear.
Dan Le Batard.
Man, I hope the future looks like whatever Elon Musk is imagining.
Imagining is the right word, because he ain't doing anything. He's just thinking about it.
I don't think it's fair to say he's not doing anything.
What's he doing? I mean,
Stugotz.
Seriously, what does he produce, though?
Tesla?
Well, besides that, the ideas are great. The ideas are great. Great ideas. The execution.
I mean, of course, because they've never been done before.
Well, let's go.
Okay.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Warren Moon has been accused of sexual harassment and sexual battery by a female employee of his sports marketing firm, and will take a leave of absence from his role on the Seattle Seahawks radio broadcast. Derrick Rose apologized to his teammates for his 2-week absence and referenced frustration with his left ankle injury as the cause. What a strange dude. And finally, ketchup was used to treat diarrhea and indigestion in the 1830s. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
What a strange dude. That's something that just came out of your mouth. What a strange dude.
Yeah, I mean, you play basketball for a living, and a lot of people get ankle injuries, and they don't leave their team and disconnect themselves from their team in a way that's odd to me. I mean, who does that? Derrick Rose does it. Not once, but twice now, where he's gone missing, and then he ends up apologizing. He's getting paid a lot of money still. And he goes missing for a couple of weeks. No one can find him. People are concerned about him. And then he comes back, hey, sorry, I was frustrated about my ankle. You're an athlete. How about stop apologizing and just play basketball? I'm so tired of Derrick Rose. I really am. You know what? If you want to be around to see your kids graduate and walk down the aisle, then quit right now. But do me a favor. Stop quitting on your team in the middle of the season because you twisted an ankle. And you go disappearing, and LeBron James, who cares deeply about you, can't find you. And no one's having any communication. People are concerned, and then you come back and simply, hey, I'm sorry. What are you sorry? If I leave here for 2 weeks and don't come back, I'm getting fired, man. I can't just say, hey, sorry, rolled an ankle, and I continue playing.
I mean, Roy did that last week.
Yeah. It's a good point. Say sorry.
Roy had a baby, but he just disappeared. And we found out he was having a baby because we're like, Roy, any particular reason you didn't come into work today?
All right. But you don't find Derrick Rose to be a bit, like, there's some crazy in those eyes, and I find them to be a little bit odd.
Okay. This is why I thought it was funny that you went naturally, organically in that sports flash to calling somebody else a strange dude, because I was about to chronicle with 100% accuracy every word that you spoke during the break, and I'm going to begin doing that now because this is exactly how it happened, and I want to show everybody. I was writing during the break. I was just writing as you wandered around. I was watching you and writing down the things you said, so I am now going to repeat them to you. Are you ready? Because this was the order they were in.
Okay, because I have no idea what I said. I just let it fly during the breaks.
So during the breaks, he just gets up from his seat because we all get a private show, and he announces, it's a scam. And so we don't know what he's talking about. We weren't having a conversation with him. Everybody was buried in their own things. It's a scam. Next thing you hear, this Bezos guy is involved with the Russia-Trump thing, the hacking. He's involved with everything. Zuckerberg too. I don't remember which one you said. That's not me getting the name wrong.
That's a fun. I said Zuckerberg, clearly.
And then the next thing you said, right? Dollar. That's just sitting there. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding when I say what I'm about to say. So he gives us that. The whole thing, that's what we get. The Russia hacking, Bezos, everyone's in on it. It's a scam. The next thing you get is, so Billy, you tell me, Matt Harvey versus Kurt Schilling. If I make Kurt Schilling the starter in an old timers league on Stanton's team, and I have him going against Matt Harvey, and so I got Palmeiro out there, I got A-Rod out there, I got a bunch of old timers. You're not going to see that? Matt Harvey versus Kurt Schilling on Giancarlo Stanton's team.
I'm all in. I think Billy is as well. What I want to do for the Marlins, because they've given this ultimatum to Stanton, hey, either you accept one of these trades because he has a no trade, or we're going to keep you and trade everyone else. I would stand pat if I'm Stanton and say, go ahead, trade everyone else. And then if I'm the Marlins, I surround Stanton with Palmeiro and guys like that. That'd be a fun team. People would watch that. Both the fans down here and fans on the road. People would go out to see Palmeiro, Sosa, McGuire, Bonds, and Stanton.
That'd
be fun.
Did any of you guys find strange the way that happened in the back room, where Stugotz goes from one thing, announcing some conspiracy that he's found, it's all a scam, and he just comes in and he's yelling about this and that, to segue seamlessly. He never said another word. There were no words of transition in there between him announcing that and then going straight to whether or not this traveling old timers team would do well.
It all started, actually, and you missed the beginning of it, with him ripping Tesla again, and then he went into it's all a scam about something else, and then Bezos.
What were you ripping Tesla about again?
Well, Anheuser-Busch, whose stock is soaring today, and so is Tesla's. The reason Tesla's is soaring is because Anheuser-Busch has purchased 40 semis from Tesla, and I'm just thinking they'll be there in the year 2052, and by that time we'll all be living on Mars. I mean, this guy, get something done already. Let's go. And he's in on this whole thing, too.
Well, we're not going to be living on Mars unless he gets us there.
Oh, you think he's going to be the one responsible? I mean, he keeps talking about life on Mars, and yet we're still living on Earth. I mean, let's get to Mars already.
So you think Elon Musk is kind of like LeVar Ball? I'll promise you something in 7 months and just take your money now. You think?
Bingo. Yep. And the other reason I was talking about the scam is this whole, this new tax code that's been accepted. I mean, it benefits. These are the companies that it benefits the most. They're going to save billions of dollars.
No, the starting point on this, was Stugotz saw rich people getting tax breaks, and that is where that started. I didn't realize that there was a starting point. I just thought it was him getting up and saying it's a scam.
Starting point is usually money, Dan.
Right. I'm dead serious about Stugotz's idea. While I know it's ridiculous, would you not like to see it? The idea, if this is the situation the Marlins are in with the MVP of the league, they have told him, you either accept our terms on a trade and go to a city you don't want to go to, or if you demand to exercise your contractual no-trade clause, we will strip down the team entirely and you will be out there by yourself with a bunch of couponed clipping players. And Stugotz is saying, if you're going to dump the season like that anyway,
right?
Why not just put kind of moderately interesting people at each position and treat it yet more like it's not a competition and it's just a Miami event, no matter how absurd it is? Because I'm telling you, if I would like to see Barry Bonds play another major league season at this age.
So would I.
Because it's asinine. You're trying to develop young talent so you don't have to be a sideshow.
They could develop it in the minor leagues. If they're going to run their business this cheap, then just make it the P.T. Barnum thing.
Right.
Like, if you're going to run it this cheap, you're not actually... Yes, you're trying to develop young players for the future, but you're not trying to win now. Make it now some sort of absurd PR stunt. If Stanton's going to nuke you by saying, I exercise my no-trade clause, I think that'd be uproariously funny. Nobody would do it that way. I know what I'm saying is absurd as an idea, but I'm trying to get you to think outside of the construct. It's more interesting than what they're going to put on the field next year.
I'd be more likely to go see him play a game, Mike. If you're telling me Sosa's roaming the outfield with Stanton, I'm there.
There you go. And it wouldn't even be Sammy Sosa. It would be the new incarnation, Sam Sosa.
Yep.
Sam Sosa.
I'm not debating that it'd be more interesting. I'd probably make it out to a game to see all the guys that played baseball back when I used to watch it. But if you're throwing away a season, you might as well give young players a look.
No.
Give old players
the A's can do that. Let the A's do that.
Yeah.
No. My problem is pitching. These old guy pitchers aren't. I mean, we're going to have an offensive problem with this team.
Charlie Huff could still give you 8, man.
Don Le Batard.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
Awful.
Stugotz.
No, he's an embarrassment, man. He's bad. He's not a good player. I don't know what happened to him, because when he was in Portland, he was fantastic. He is not good, Dan. He cost them the game last night. Although they won the game. But had they lost, I'm telling you, it would have been on LaMarcus Aldridge. And the only reason it's not is because they won the game. And I'm still going to crush him even though they won.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Something interesting just happened on the television here. By the way, right now on the television, the Browns have fired Vice President Sashi Brown. So the Browns here are in the middle of total chaos, another winless season. This parade is off the ground. Darren Ravel is reporting that Excedrin has put in the last $7,000 to make this parade happen if the Browns go 0-16.
That is such a smart and great sponsorship right there.
Yes.
Excedrin medication.
That's right. They just got their advertising right now. Right, they're $7,000 worth right now, with just us saying, "Look, they funded the last part of this parade that will happen." We tried to do it last year, and the Browns betrayed us at the end. They can't even do losing totally right. They can't even do utter incompetence and failure and embarrassing totally right. And so now they've gone in a different direction while keeping their coach. They've gotten rid of their executive vice president. But right before that, on television, Stugotz, I want to ask you something here, because I'm curious what the shipping container thinks of this as well. I am not somebody, who believes that my sensibilities are the right sensibilities. I know I'm a little bit of a weirdo. But what I just saw on the television is Randy Moss was sitting in a chair, and it looked like he was being interviewed. And I looked up at the screen and thought to myself, I would like to be doing that interview with Randy Moss, or I would like to talk to Randy Moss or hear him interviewed in a way that's totally honest, because I found him to be, as an athlete during his time, really mesmerizing, hypnotizing, and just the way he was. And then what happened is the camera panned out and I realized that it wasn't Randy Moss being interviewed. It was Randy Moss interviewing Case Keenum. And I'm looking at that. And again, I say on the front end of this, I'm not saying my sensibilities are right, and I understand that my sensibilities aren't necessarily ESPN's or palatable to many people around this. But my response to that was to retreat and be like, oh, I don't want to watch that at all.
Right.
I don't want to watch Randy Moss interview. Like, I know Case Keenum's not going to say anything.
Sure.
Anything.
Right.
And so the construct is we're going to send a former Viking into Minnesota, and we're going to have him sit down, and it'll be nice to have Randy Moss talking to Case Keenum. And I'm like, well, you've got the interesting guy who might actually say stuff,
right,
but isn't an interviewer, asking Case Keenum questions, who's there in disguise, not wanting to reveal anything about himself in any meaningful way, the way quarterbacks and coaches always do in public.
My guess is the way they got access to Case Keenum in a sit-down is through Randy Moss, because he knows all the guys in the media relations department there. So I'm just wondering, I don't know. You're probably right. But maybe Randy Moss can get the most out of a player more so than us.
Well, that's
or
part.
More,
no,
than anyone else doing
and that happened. That the first times that was done, that is what exactly was happening. Where you see a jocularity, you want to hear from both people. It's not just someone being a reporter, but that's not Randy Moss's skill set. And by the way, I say all of this not even having heard the interview. So
sure.
My observations about this aren't fully formed. It was just something that came on the television right now, and it fooled me. Because I was looking at it and I'm saying to myself, I'd like to hear Randy Moss interviewed in an honest way. I've wanted to talk to Randy Moss on air since we've gotten to the network.
I've had similar situations. I've had the same reaction to you where, like, I think when Marino was at CBS, he interviewed Peyton Manning. And I'm like, whoa, that's not, like, I don't want to see that. There's no way that's going to be good. I mean.
But I think the star power and the fame and seeing those two guys interact on television, this is what I'm asking you, because I don't want this to sound like criticism, because this is just something that I'm looking at my antenna.
Sure.
With my antenna. I want to ask the audience, if I tell you Randy Moss is talking on television, do you want to hear him interviewed or do you want to hear him interview?
I probably want to hear him interviewed, but that's not fair to Randy. And I know you're not being unfair to Randy. I don't know if he's any good at this or not. I have no idea.
This has nothing to do with the
if
content.
Moss sat down with Brady, he had a year with Brady, maybe his best year with Brady. I'd be interested in that. If he can get it to a place where it's conversational and making fun of each other, stuff like that, then yeah, I'd be in on that.
This is more of a hypothetical because you're making me pick either or, when the answer is he does both. If you want to see Randy Moss get interviewed, there's an entire pregame show on Sunday, and as part of that pregame show, they also send him out doing other things, so you're not just bored of him getting interviewed.
Oh no, but I don't want to. No. I don't want him interviewed about today's football. I want him interviewed about his life and his career. Like sure. I don't want. This is one of my issues in general with the analysis across sports. Is I don't want to hear what Chris Sims actually has to say about what his top 70 ranked quarterbacks are. I want Chris Sims to be talking about what his experience was in the NFL, his life in the NFL, and what it was like to have your spleen explode and think that you were going to die on the field.
I want to hear the quarterback rankings.
Are we certain this was Case Keenum and not Adam Thielen? Because I know he interviewed Adam Thielen.
No. Oh, wow.
Oh, I was. You know what? I was half paying attention, so it might have been Adam Thielen. That's actually funny.
Major fun.
You know, wait, no, hold on a second. Hold on. This is great.
I mean, we did a whole segment on this.
That's great. That is great.
Vikings receiver interviewing a great Vikings receiver.
How great is this? How great is this? The reason that I thought it was Keenum is because he looked like he had a bloated face. No. That's not what happened there. That is not what happened there. I don't think all white people look the same.
Sure, it was the bloated face.
Was it Thielen? Was it indeed Thielen and not Case Keenum? Because this is what I saw. I saw a bloated face. I know what Thielen looks like, man. He's fit. Case Keenum looked like he had a bloated face.
Yeah, it was Thielen.
Did Thielen have a lot of sodium before he did that interview?
It was Thielen.
And for the love of God.
The reason why Randy Moss is doing that, because they're naturally receivers and there's a Vikings tie-in, and now it makes more sense.
Yeah. Wow.
Mother.
I'll have to think about this. I don't know what the fine is for that. I mean,
there is no fine for
you boxed an entire segment.
I can't believe what is happening around here. This hour, I introduced Lane Kiffin as Les Miles. Like, you guys need to start worrying about me. Everybody here and everybody within the sound of my voice has to start worrying about me.
Going on for years. I mean,
you had an entire suey category this year.
You've never had that.
We're
before.
beyond
This
starting.
is unbelievable.
You never made mistakes.
I am becoming Mike Francesa. Like, what's going to happen is somebody's going to troll me by making a call about whether or not I think I can manage the Yankees, and I'm going to go in there and say yes.
Mike thought Tim Hardaway Jr. was on the Giants the other day.
Francesa?
Yes.
No.
I sent it to Dan.
No.
That's the path I'm headed on. I am on the fast track, man. I am riding the Les Miles train on the
At least he got the juniors mixed up. I can understand that. What Dan just did, it was just white guys.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? It's a fair accusation. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I don't know what Case Keenum looks like.